Is the future of defence technology already at our fingertips? Well, in today's episode of Tech Talks Daily, we're going to dive deep into the world of innovation in defence technologies with our esteemed guest. His name is Dave Holmes, Managing Director of FalconWorks at BAE Systems. And FalconWorks is a beacon of advanced R&D in the air sector. And they stand at the forefront of envisioning and crafting the future of air power. So today, Dave's going to share his insights into how FalconWorks is not just keeping pace, but setting the pace when it comes to next in defence technology. But that's not just what we're going to be talking about. I want to hear more about technology, innovation, and at the heart of all this, though, it's the importance of collaboration with SMEs, academia, governments, and so many other partners to pioneer sustainable, low-carbon footprint solutions that push the boundaries of autonomy and even uncrewed systems. And Dave's offered to give us a front row seat into the innovations that are shaping our world's security. So join us as we uncover the strategies, challenges, triumphs that are all collectively driving technological advancement at one of the most critical frontiers of our time. Before we get today's guest on, though, I need to give a quick shout out and a thank you to the sponsors of Tech Talks Daily this month. They are Kiteworks. And in a digital age where the landscape of remote work is ever expanding, the security and efficiency of your managed file transfer solution are paramount. This is where Kiteworks sets a new benchmark, far surpassing legacy MFT tools with its unparalleled security measures and user-centric design. They've even been awarded the prestigious FedRAMP Moderate Authorization, a recognition that is not easily obtained, and they've held it since 2017 by the Department of Defence. So what I'm trying to say here is don't let outdated technology dictate the safety and efficiency of your business operations. Simply step into the future of secure managed file transfer with Kiteworks, and you can start your journey towards uncompromised security and unparalleled functionality today by visiting kiteworks.com. That's kiteworks.com, where you can explore the future of secure data management. But now it's time to get on with the show and invite today's guest on. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to the UK, where you can sit down with myself and Dave as we talk about all this and much more. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Hi, I'm Dave Holmes. I'm the Managing Director of FalconWorks within BAE Systems Air Sector. I've been with the company for nearly 40 years now. We're a leading defence and aerospace company, as most people know. And over that period of time, I've worked in a variety of different roles. Currently, our FalconWorks business is leading on developing new concept solutions for the Air Products Air Enterprise. And fundamentally, this is around us trying to understand how we can augment human capability by bringing technology forward, either in terms of helping them through the engineering cycle or indeed our end customers, so we can make them more effective and, of course, allow them to keep safe whilst they're delivering a difficult mission at times.
And that's just one of the many reasons I was excited to get you on the podcast, because every single day I try and get people thinking differently about areas that they may be surrounded by in their life and when they're out and about that they don't associate with technology. And FalconWorks is described as this centre for advanced and agile R&D in the air sector that focuses on horizon scanning for new capabilities, etc. But can you just share how your team identifies and prioritises those technologies of tomorrow that will ultimately ensure defence customers of yours maintain that competitive edge?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a great question. I mean, the first thing, to recognise is we don't think we have the monopoly, indeed, we most definitely don't, on innovation or entrepreneurship. So what we're seeking to do is sort of follow a multi-strand approach. The first thing is we're looking all the time, horizon scanning, for partners, SMEs, academics who are bringing forward contemporary solutions, leading edge pieces of tech, which are really focused on what's after tomorrow. So not really trying to deal with today's issues per se, may have today's applications, but we're really looking at that horizon scanning element, looking for things that are very different. And for us to identify, can we relate those to challenges, problem sets that we know from being intimate with our customer base. The next strand of it really is about having people that I would describe as futurologists within the team. And these are the people who are thinking about what could be, what should be, what might be, and almost trying to paint that science fiction type landscape that says, okay, if the technology and capabilities is available, here's what we could really do. And again, I've got people who are thinking about, how do we turn science fiction into science fact and pull through technology to do that. And then the final strand of it is, recognizing with the UK's academic establishments, it is at a world-beating level, and we mustn't forget about that. So we work through what I would describe as grand challenges with a very wide and varied academic network across the UK and wider, and let them pull through solutions, novel ideas around these grand challenges. And so examples such as, partnering with the Turing Institute or through the Manchester Royce Institute on Materials and Material Science. So how can we give them unique problem sets, which would be game changers in terms of being able to move technology on? I must stress that this is actually about looking not just down a security and defence lens. We look very wide. A lot of the underpinning science, physics, technology that's out there today, is from near neighbour sectors. And it's really about how do we integrate and do something different with it, which will give that game-changing solution to our key customers. And we've seen that cycle operate over many decades. I suppose that's one of the joys of being old. I've seen this reciprocal cycle of things developed in a commercial world that's then been exploited in the security and defence world. And I've seen things being developed in the defence sector that have then found utility within commercial applications.
And I think that's such an important point to make there. And BAE Systems is renowned globally for its research and technology pedigree. And on this podcast, we've spoken with Rob Merriweather, Lucy Walton, and talking about everything from quantum computing to AI to synthetic training environments. So with all that in mind, how do you at FalconWorks build on a legacy like that? And what are some of the key strategies that you employ to foster innovation within the organisation?
So we've got quite a large team. I mean, that's the key bit that says, the company recognises the value of being at the leading edge of what we do. And indeed, Lucy's part of the FalconWorks family. So we invest heavily with our own funding. So recycle profits. I suppose that's about, proof of the pudding, back internally, what we are seeking to do. We form collaborations. I mentioned before about that whole thing about partnerships and stronger together. We form partnerships with SMEs right across that industrial and tech landscape to look for or routes to apply that technology. And things that we've seen in terms of how do we make it even better if. So I'll give you an example. We've got everybody today is using 3D printing, additive manufacture. But a lot of the additive manufacturing capabilities out there isn't suitable for high-stressed applications, high-integrity applications. So we work really closely with a UK company, Renishaw, and we've helped bring Renishaw forward together and under UK research and innovation programs to improve the standard of product produced through the additive machine that allows those products that come off to be certified and then move into some more exacting and harsher environments than maybe you would see in the automotive sector. We've done the same. You may have seen articles around our Factory of the Future, whereby, again, we've partnered with companies. We've taken, standard off the shelf, if there's ever such a thing, automotive robots. And through working with a company in Wales, we've modified those to improve their accuracy tenfold. That now allows them to be used in the exacting tolerance world that you see within the aerospace sector, where maybe, we need to control tolerances on aerodynamic shape of things a lot tighter than elsewhere. We've used AI. I mean, everybody's looking at machine learning and automation and AI. We're no different. We see great advantages in being able to come back to augment the capability of humans. Can you remove the tasking for the dull, the dangerous, the repetitious, or recognize that, by today's society, we overload individuals with the volume of information and data we present to them, whether it be in an industrial or engineering part of the cycle, or indeed in the user community world. So can we use some of these capabilities to allow people the space and capacity to be more effective? So can you use large language models to synthesize lots of data to allow them to make better real-time decisions? So this isn't about trying to replace humans. It's actually about trying to make humans more predictable and more effective in the roles that society is asking of them, wherever they sit in that wider ecosystem. And so it goes on.
And having spoken with Lucy Walton a couple of weeks ago and also listening to you today, collaboration seems to be the cornerstone of FalconWorks' approach to innovation. And digging deeper on that, can you tell me a bit more about the importance of working with academia, research organisations, SMEs and governments in developing new defence capabilities and other capabilities, and how these partnerships ultimately contribute to your success? Because it's not something you do completely on your own, is it?
No, it's not. And it's great that Lucy's been able to bring those points out in earlier podcasts. And I'm sure Rob Merriweather has as well. Look, FalconWorks is raison d'etre really is about innovation, collaboration, and concepting. So, three principal planks to how we go about doing our business, and creating that front door where anybody that's got a great idea, a great piece of tech, knows where to dock into, because that's always one of the challenges of dealing with large organizations. And BAE Systems is no different. So, we're trying to simplify that front end. Then, of course, what we're trying to do is recognize that everybody brings into that arena, everybody brings something. So respecting and valuing what individual parties bring, whether it be academia or a small, medium enterprise company, or even indeed a large international organization, huge blue chips, recognize that they bring intellectual property that has a value attributed to it. So this isn't about taking value away. It's actually about the together piece, and actually working out that by bringing or creating an ecosystem, we bring these people together, we're joining 2 or 3 bits of background IP, then creates some foreground IP that's jointly owned, then creates a novel solution. Now, of course, the model's really easy for us because it says in the sphere of our marketplace, security and defence, then we want early mover advantage. However, these organisations that come with us, of course, once they see access to the new foreground that's created, they want to find alternate routes to market. We're really comfortable with that. But of course, we want exclusivity in our domain and market space. What we don't want is to stifle them being profitable and viable by going and exploiting it in a near adjacent to field. And by having that level of trust and collaboration principles enshrined with some very simple ways of protecting and recognizing value in background, foreground routes to exploit, you start to see the best out of people. And it really does, allow the magic to happen where you get these intersections where everybody feels that they are valued and bring something into that arena.
And something I don't think we talk about enough in this country is Britain is a hub for developing game-changing capabilities. So let's shout about that. In your view, what factors make Britain such a fertile ground for R&D in defence technologies? And how do you at FalconWorks leverage some of these advantages?
Oh, look, we absolutely agree. I personally agree with everything you said about, the UK being a fertile ground. Let's not forget the first industrial revolution happened in the UK. We found ourselves in the cusp of the fourth industrial revolution, however everybody describes that. And I think the UK is, very much boxing above its weight, pound for pound, against other global organisations. Why wouldn't it be? And you can see that in terms of, what takes place through, I've already talked about the Royce Centre at Manchester University. But if we look at the the catapult network that's established across the UK, and take a view in terms of what's there from the Advanced Manufacturing Research Centre or the Composite Centre at Bristol or the Manufacturing Technology Centre at Coventry, the Forming Fabrication Centre up at Strathclyde. All of these create great sort of nodes where academia meets industry, meets SMEs, and pulls through technology, contemporary solutions. We've got great inventors in the UK. Let's not forget about where the World Wide Web was invented. It's done in the UK. Where was steam and automotive power invented? It's done in the UK. Where was the first jet engine invented? It was done in the UK. So I don't think we should be shy about promoting the caliber of research, which is born out of having great people with strong educational backgrounds, people who are very curious, seeking to improve society and push the boundaries of technology and physics. Then, of course, you just hand that to some superb engineers, and the magic happens. We get great solutions that should benefit everybody.
Love that. And a question I've got to ask as well is, there's this shift towards uncrewed aircraft systems, or UAS, and especially around autonomy in defence. So can you elaborate on FalconWorks' contributions to that field? I'm not sure how much you can share around that, and also how you envision these technologies evolving in the near future. Where do you see this heading?
Yeah. The uncrewed aircraft system space, or uncrewed vehicle system space, as you say, is getting lots of public attention, has sort of risen over the last few years. I think firstly from a BAE Systems perspective, across all of our domains, land, sea and air, probably one of our best kept secrets, the fact that we've been in this arena for over 25 years. And I would say this, wouldn't I? We were bringing forward, pushing the boundaries of technology, bringing forward solutions that maybe the market and possibly society wasn't quite ready for. And maybe even in some areas, the technology just wasn't quite robust enough over that 2 decades of a journey to allow it to be offered to end users in a reliable, repeatable and trusted manner. If you fast forward to the 2020s and you see how the small form factor computing power has improved, how access to effective drive systems, autonomy has improved, and the ability to code rapidly and manage all of the characteristics that allow, uncrewed systems to be developed at scale, at pace, and introduced into a whole variety of elements of society, really puts this into what I would describe as a game changer. It is really sort of now, how do we harness this in not just in the security defence world, but also wider in society? And I draw parallels maybe for those of us a certain demographic of how we've seen mobile phones evolve, as we move from the very early days of, very clumsy, very incapable systems, you certainly couldn't do, have all the embedded apps we've got today. And there were lots of providers, and maybe not quite the industry standards and norms in place that regulated and controlled them to the degree that there is today. And I think we're in that transitional period. And I think the user communities, whether it be commercial or defence sector, will accelerate standardisation of controls along with the regulators, again, whether that be the Civil Aviation Authority or the Military Aviation Authority, so that we end up with these things being more regularised and acceptable in society. Who would have thought, in the 1950s, people were drawing cartoons of the Jetsons. Well, how far is that away from having an autonomous airborne taxi? And we see lots of those being worked on across the globe. And it's no different within sort of that sort of defence setting. I think the challenge we'll have is, how do we use these effectively as part of an ecosystem? And indeed, BAE Systems is positioned, and FalconWorks is helping with the ambitions of looking at the next generation, the 6th generation future combat air system, which will have undoubtedly, not just assets which have got human inhabitants in, but also have uncrewed systems as part of that bigger ecosystem. to enable things to be undertaken. We're seeing effectively the work that's taking place now with not just the Royal Air Force in the UK, but with the Army and Navy, how they are experimenting and bringing these into the infantry for logistics movements and for, doing ship to ship, ship to shore type activities. All of those things where they enable a delivery of a service at a lower price point and, importantly, at a lower carbon footprint in terms of the end operator. So, of course, you're starting to blend a whole series of complementary requirements of safety, cost, and also carbon footprint as these things come together. And you can imagine BAE Systems is right in the mix of that in terms of looking at things which are expendable all the way through to things which are a lot larger in footprint. And I draw listeners to maybe looking at our website and having a look at the work that we've done with, again, one of the elements within FalconWorks, our prismatic entity that's leading on Phaser 35, an uncrewed system which flies in the stratosphere and is 35 meters wide and sort of weighs about 150 kilos. It gives an example of how far technology's come in the last few years.
And you mentioned the Jetsons there, and I've got to admit, I'm still waiting for my affordable jetpack that I saw, and I think it was the 1984 Olympics. Any work going on there that you can fast track for me?
So we're not looking at jetpacks. I think what we need to recognise is there are some great inventors and entrepreneurs within the UK and wider who are looking at what I would describe as fringe solutions. Yeah. Everything's got its place in society. I think what we're trying to do is cultivate and bring forward things which have got more utility and maybe less unique specialism. But of course, what's happening is the barriers to entry are lowering, and there's absolutely a place for all of those great entrepreneurs that are out there developing these solutions. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us to encourage them to do so, because even if that solution never finds its way into mainstream usage, it will drag forward the technologies, the underpinning knowledge and know-how. But importantly, it inspires the next generation of engineers and scientists to go, I want some of that as well. And that's what really makes Britain strong.
Absolutely love that. And you also mentioned a few moments ago the website, and I was looking on the FalconWorks website before you came on the podcast today, and I was also reading about sustainability and this focus that you have on low carbon footprints, net zero solutions, etc. So can you just expand on how you integrate these sustainability principles into the development of advanced defence technologies?
Yeah, so what we're endeavouring to do is measure the through life carbon footprint of our solutions. That's important, and recognizing that carbon, that the protocols are measuring scopes 1, 2, and 3. So we realise that whilst we might influence something in the design element, we need to understand the implications in the supply chain to feed that design, that solution, but also, taking accountability and responsibility with our end users, that we are giving them something which will not just be, say, affordable, but also have a lower carbon footprint through life. And that's borne out from, some of our solutions. If you look in terms of the BAE Systems portfolio, or look in the air sector or wider, from requirements from customer on mainstream platforms through to disposal, we're measuring this in working lifetimes, a full working lifetime or even longer, 40 years plus. Some of the shorter life cycle products, even so, are going to be in the hands of users, for several years. So therefore, having that wider consideration is sort of going to be at the heart of it. What that also drives us to, of course, is then thinking about that carbon footprint and starts to line up with the national endeavours of onshoring, friendshoring, reshoring around some of the key elements of that system. And whilst that's good from a national security perspective, it's also good from a carbon footprint. And all of us in society and on this call and listening, will have, suffered all the way through what was taking place through the challenges of the pandemic to having these large, global supply chains, and then seeing the consequences of interruptions with challenges in shipping controls, etc. You go, okay, so how can we cut down on that? How can we get, things a lot closer? How can we design products which we are designing reusability and recycling in at day one, so that we're not using more natural resources? How can we improve the yield for raw materials going in to the product that's then delivered? And that starts talking to some of the things around additive and 3D printing. But it also talks to how we're creating the raw materials, whether it be metallic alloys or non-metallic, that feeds additive technologies. And how do we improve the energy sources on that? You'll not be surprised to learn we're doing quite a lot in battery tech. We're understanding how we support our Air Force customers on their transition into synthetic aviation fuels. People have got existing fleets of aircraft, can't wholesale replace those with alternatives. And indeed, the alternatives aren't there yet at the scale maybe seen in domestic and automotive. So working closely to recertify the products and find effective ways of delivering alternate fuels is key to us. Looking at hybrid solutions where we'll have onboard generators to augment electrical power. And again, having those running through a variety of different fuel sources. All to play for, but really is at that forefront of us. Again, recognizing that everybody in society is going to roll to be, responsible with natural resources, not just today, but thinking through that full life cycle.
And looking at that mission you're on there at FalconWorks, I was reading how you've already achieved several successes. And again, I appreciate you probably can't share too much, but is there any successes that you can highlight or key milestones that particularly stand out to you and your team that you're proud of that we can shout about or share with everyone listening to know?
Yeah, I think, look, I'm really fortunate. I'm surrounded by super clever people who do outstanding things daily. And I know that sounds trite, but we're really trying to create an environment where everybody turns up to be the best they can be every day. Things that stand out in the last 18 months, I think, without a doubt, I've already mentioned the endeavours of Prismatic with Phase 35. There's an exclusive club of people who've managed to fly in a controlled manner a pseudo-satellite on the edge of space, fixed wing aircraft powered by solar, with battery tech, so it can sit up there for an extended period of time. Got to be a highlight, in terms of, and not just the highlight from a technological standpoint, but also the highlight from watching, how that's inspired the next generation of engineers, and the sort of the column inches, that my comms team enjoy seeing things like that. I think the other piece on this is what we've seen through the Factory of the Future. The team have delivered a concept of a front fuselage for the next generation crewed fighter, so the Tempest product, sort of, and using that as a de-risker. And of course, bringing together all that technology, whether that be model-based systems engineering, or whether that be sort of 3D printing, and then producing this product full scale with people in the loop working with cobotics and robotics to develop and build a product which really been a game changer and provides data sets to give us confidence on business cases for our ambitions under the Global Combat Air Programme. The final one probably worth a shout out is the partnership that we have with Microsoft. And with Microsoft, what we've been endeavoring to do is build upon the secure cloud-based technology, but work on edge computing. And we did some trials with them in the last 12 months where we managed to demonstrate we could fly an uncrewed air system and treat it as an edge device, and in real time send it new command information through its mission planner to control it and make it do different things. Now that was very clever for us. It means that the computing power that's on board is a lot smaller. but really gives us that game changer in terms of, well, how would you lead that into providing a solution and provide real-time updates to the end users? How do you link that into swarming technology? How do you link it into collaborative of crewed and uncrewed systems?
And the pace of technological change continues to move ahead at breakneck speed. So if we do look ahead, is there anything you can share about future FalconWorks projects that maybe excite you right now? And also what impact you anticipate that it could have on the future of air power, defence technologies, and so much more? Because it seems like everything's up for grabs with the speed of technological change at the moment. But what excites you about that road ahead?
We could talk all afternoon on this, couldn't we?
Yes, yeah.
You know, it's impossible to ignore computing power and the impact computing power has in terms of not just the speed of design, but also the control loops as you start to have humans in the loop, humans on the loop in terms of that decision making, and where that manifests itself in terms of artificial intelligence all the way through the design. You know, how can you concept faster? How can you assure faster? How can you automatically create control software, flight control software, mission control software using those large language models all the way through into providing something to the end user? So, you know, really curious in terms of where artificial intelligence will take us, really curious where machine learning will take us. And again, recognizing, I'm sure, you know, listeners will appreciate two very different topics, but conjoined as themes that could be game changers if we as engineers and scientists learn how to harness that. I think autonomy in its broadest sense will be very influential, and more importantly, trusted autonomy, so that we learn how to use the onboard computing, offboard computing power to allow missions to be delivered in a safe, predictable, repeatable manner, to allow end users to deliver, you know, their requirements in a more affordable and adaptive and reflective way. You know, one thing we know in society, in the same way technology's evolving rapidly and changing, as you allude to, then we also know the nature of threat, regrettably, that you know, our customers are facing is also changing in that same rapid way. So to be able to keep you know, a balance in there from a deterrent standpoint means that our tech in these sort of contemporary fields needs to keep evolving in that spiral. I think there's some interesting developments in materials. I think material science, whether we're looking in terms of metallics or non-metallics, is interesting. Whether that be driven out of, you know, carbon footprint or the need to onshore, reshore, is interesting. And that's linking forward technologies such as hot isostatic pressing. You know, this is about upscaling UK PLC and wider's ability beyond additive, but we're able to produce high integrity items at near net shape. You know, non-metallics will feature heavily about, you know, looking at technologies which have got embedded systems within carbon structures or carbon nanotubes, you know, where these are multiform products which, you know, may be carrying stress, but could be carrying data or electrical current through the products that are then allowing them to be multifunctional in terms of the end use of the structure. And I think then you keep coming back to that whole piece of augmenting the human. You know, we've seen lots develop over the last 5-10 years around, you know, augmented reality, mixed reality, wearable reality. So that whole piece of haptics and taking, you know, physical science, biomimicry, and wrapping things around the human that actually allows them to be more effective and safer in their operation. So you know when to bring technology and computing power in to cut in, remove the workload from the human to allow the human to focus on critical things. I think we're going to start to see these things with robotics and all the rest of it spin off, you know, wider. You know, as we already understand robotics, you start to see operations being undertaken using cobotics to help in sort of that healthcare sense. You'll see more of this evolve and spiral a lot faster as society becomes more comfortable accepting the role of tech. That society will need to embrace the tech in a faster way than the tech can evolve, I suspect.
Wow, I think that's a beautiful moment to end on. So thank you so much for taking the time to share how your teams are working hard on early life cycle concepts, not just for what comes next, but what comes for after next. And let's see if there's something we can do for you now to thank you for spending your time with us today. And that is some of the biggest names in business, VC funding and tech have either been guests or maybe even listened to this podcast. So is there a person you'd love to have a private breakfast or lunch with? Because he or she might just be listening. We might be able to make something happen. But who would that person be and why?
Oh, this is a really hard question because, again, there's so many people that sort of rattle through your brain. I mean, if you'd have expanded the question and said, are they currently with us or have they passed? I would have had to have said Sir Freddie Page. He was a titan of the aviation industry, designer of a good number of the English electric products, including the Lightning and, the controversial TSR2. But if we look more closer to home for people who are still with us, I think then I'd have to plump for, a knight of the realm, Sir Richard Branson. I mean, you can't help admire his entrepreneurial spirit, his innovation, and the fact that he's across so many different areas of industry and society, from whether that be entertainment and music through into transportation, air or ground, and now looking in terms of his ambitions around space. I think we could have a really good conversation, and I think he'd be dead interested and be very inspiring to hear what sort of motivates him to still be at that forefront of sort of that iconic position within the UK.
Wow, what a great answer. We'll throw that out into the universe, into the ether. Let's see what we can manifest. Hopefully, Sir Richard Branson's listening to this. He would be a great person to sit down with. So we'll see what we can make happen for you there. Let me know if you do hear anything back one day, whether it be next week, next year or beyond. But other than that, for anyone listening wanting to find out more information about FalconWorks, BAE Systems and the work that you're doing here, is there anywhere in particular you would like to point everyone listening?
We've got loads of websites. Why don't people, if they're really interested, go to basystems.com/FalconWorks, and I think you'll find loads of interesting little articles on there. And keep watching. Add us to your favourites, and let's see how we can keep inspiring you. And more importantly, make sure you tell the next generation of engineers and scientists out there that there's a great career in the UK in science and technology, and they can be a part of it.
Absolutely. And I'll also urge everyone listening to check out that FalconWorks website. So much great information about how you're exploring, developing and investing in new and novel technologies in everything from hypersonics, information advantage, vehicles, space and beyond, of course. And I should also mention tech talent as well. So I would urge everyone to check that out. But more than anything, just thank you for investing a bit of time to help spread the word about this stuff. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Neil.
So a huge thank you to Dave Holmes of FalconWorks at BAE Systems for giving us a peek into the future of defence technologies, but most importantly, the vital role of innovation, collaboration and sustainability that is shaping that global security landscape. And as we wrap up today's episode, I find myself reflecting on the significant strides FalconWorks is making in developing technologies that promise to not only defend, but also preserve our planet for future generations. And I think it's clear that the quest for innovation in defence technologies is as much about safeguarding our way of life as it is about the art of the possible and exploring in the skies and beyond. As we talked about in our interview, it's not just about defence technology. We're talking about defence and augmenting the human and so many other interesting areas. So now I turn the microphone over to you. What innovative technologies do you believe will define the future of defence? And today's point, who is that one person that you'd love to discuss the future of technology over breakfast or lunch with? Sir Richard Branson, if you're listening, please contact either myself or Dave directly. Cut out the middleman. I'm cool with that if you want. If you would like to make Dave's breakfast or lunch wish come true, but I'd love to hear your thoughts too. So email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, just at Neil C. Hughes. Share your thoughts. Let's keep this conversation going. And remember, in the world of technology and defence, what comes after next might just be what we decide to innovate today. And while you ponder that, I'm going to rest my vocal cords because I've got another guest lined up for your listening pleasure tomorrow. We'll discuss a completely different topic of how technology is transforming our lives, work, and indeed world. Hopefully you'll join me then. Thanks for listening. See you all tomorrow.